Today on the Morning Edition, another effort to right-size in the Anchorage School District. Which two schools are being recommended for closure and why the superintendent says it's necessary. Plus,
it could really impact our community in a lot of devastating ways.
Impacts of the ongoing government shutdown. 65 communities in Alaska could lose essential air service as soon as Sunday if funding runs out. How airlines and leaders are responding. And later, step into the upside down with a Stranger Things themed Airbnb that'll make you feel like you're right in the heart of Hawkins as the Morning Edition starts now. Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us today. Are you a fan of Stranger Things, Bailey?
You know, I tried to watch it one time and then I didn't get very far.
What?
So.
It's so good.
Yeah, maybe I just need to give it another try.
Maybe so. I know it's getting cooler, but we've got a little Christmas vibe going on with our green and red.
I like it. I like it.
Not quite Christmas just yet.
Not quite. We'll have to keep it going. But actually, our temperatures are starting to get a little bit cooler for today. And just looking right now statewide, we're seeing more moisture start to roll into the western coast as we get a storm rolling on through in the Bering Sea. So we'll be talking about that a little bit more later in the show. But right now for South Central, we're seeing those temperatures cooling down just a bit in the low 40s for our low today. But we got some mostly cloudy skies right now. That's going to start to clear out as we progress through the day. And with our day planner, you can expect those partly sunny skies. And look at that. No precipitation is expected for today. So we're finally starting to dry out in South Central, and those high temperatures sitting in the low 50s for today. So the highs are continuing to stay just slightly above warm or above average, but with our skycast, you can see those clouds starting to kind of roll on out. We get those partly sunny skies throughout the day, and then there is a chance for showers into the overnight hours, but otherwise you can expect mostly to partly sunny skies today with, you know, some clouds rolling in here and there. But like I mentioned, it is drying out. You can just see that with the rest of our day planner. So high temperatures staying in the 50s for the afternoon portion, but then by the afternoon, later portion of the afternoon, that's when we get a little bit more clouds rolling on through. We actually have our precipitation outlook. So I wanted to throw this in because this is really what we're going to be talking about today. Just a lot of moisture rolling into the western side of Alaska. We do have coastal flooding happening right now, and we're going to be talking about that today because that's really the big story for today. So that's really what you can expect. But like I said, South Central staying mostly dry, and we're expecting that throughout the southern Kenai Peninsula. And then Matsu staying relatively dry. You're still going to see a little bit more moisture rolling up in the more northern portion of South Central, but otherwise you can expect dry conditions moving on through, and the interior is actually going to see a little bit more moisture rolling in as well. So that's kind of what you can expect, and we'll jump in a little bit later.
In today's top story, the Anchorage School District's latest round of right-sizing includes two schools recommended for closure. Adelmi Ruiz joins us now from the newsroom with those details. Adelmi.
Kristen, Superintendent Jared Bryant says Lake Otis Elementary in Anchorage and Fire Lake Elementary in Eagle River are being considered for closure. Bryant said the recommendation to repurpose those particular schools was based mostly on shrinking enrollment and underutilized capacity. Both schools are operating at about 50% capacity, which he says limits available services for students. Bryant says the district plans to hold 3 community listening sessions in late October and encourages community feedback.
I will be there, school board members will be there, so whatever question family members may have, whatever concerns they may have, I want to be there to hear from them and address whatever I can and connect them to the right information, because I know that this is very difficult, but this is also a process we can implement with compassion and empathy.
Fire Lake Elementary shouldn't be closed because it's one of the few elementary schools that we have out here in Eagle River, and we need every elementary school out here as possible. Our children are our future, education.
The school closure recommendations will go to the Anchorage School Board tonight. Details on the upcoming meetings and community conversations can be found right now on our website. Kristen.
All right, thanks, Adelmi. Today is Election Day for many communities across the state. Dozens of cities and boroughs will be counting ballots starting tonight. Our political reporter, Will Courtney, will be following all those races. But first, here's a preview of what you need to know.
Hi there, this is Will Courtney coming from our election desk because tomorrow is election day. 22 different communities across the state are going to be voting on a plethora of different items, including ballot measures, things that may increase your taxes, may alleviate your taxes, may change just the way that your city's going to operate, things like that you'll be able to vote on. That's going to be in several different communities, but also on the ballot, city councilors, city members, and mayors. Now, I want to take a look at our mayoral map. Now, these are all of the different places that are going to be voting for their mayor tomorrow, their brand new mayor. So that includes the city of Fairbanks, the Ketchikan Gateway Borough, the city of Kenai, city of Palmer, the Kodiak Island Borough, and Skagway. Now, two of the big races that I've been watching is the city of Palmer and city of Kenai. Both those cities looking at very, very closely. There's actually a very contentious race in Palmer. There's 5 different candidates, 4 of which are actually on the city council, the Palmer City Council. So 4 of those include John Alcantara, Jim Cooper, Victoria Hudson, and Joshua Tudor. The one not on the city council is Cache Garrett. Now, you can actually listen to several of my conversations with them. They're fully on our website. You can just visit that at AlaskaNewsSource.com. The only one I did not get the chance to speak to today was Victoria Hudson. But I want to move over to Kenai. There are 2 different members running for that 3-year mayoral position, and that's former Vice Mayor Henry Nackstedt and current City Councilor Alexander Dothit. So that's where things stand on those races that I'm watching, but I also want to talk a little bit about those ballot proposals as well. Now, there are several different ballot proposals in several different communities. I actually have those communities right here. That's going to include the Haines Borough, the Kenai Peninsula Borough, the Ketchikan Gateway Borough, Juneau, Sitka, and Skagway. Those all have ballot proposals. And what I'm kind of seeing from a lot of those ballot proposals, not all of them, mind you, but from several of them, they're looking at either alleviating, imposing, or striking different taxes. So I would definitely recommend visiting our website to see the full list of those ballot proposals, and make sure, again, you stay tuned to Alaska's News Source, because tomorrow I'll be at our election desk covering the race results and any developments we see in the election. Thanks for watching.
And again, that is today. A full breakdown on these initiatives and who you'll see on your ballot is available right now on our website. And you can tune in tonight as well. Again, we'll be at the digital election desk breaking down the races and results. President Donald Trump on Monday signed an executive order approving the Ambler Road mining project.
This was something that should have been long operating and making billions of dollars for our country and supplying a lot of energy.
The proposed 211-mile road through Alaska wilderness is expected to boost the mining of copper, cobalt, gold, and other minerals. Trump previously approved this project in his first term, but it was later blocked by the Biden administration over possible threats to wildlife and harm to Alaska Native tribes that rely on hunting and fishing.
This thing has been a fight for 46 years. And certainly the Trump administration, one of our goals is to see that access road be built. We're taking all the legal steps to make sure that it can happen. The expectation is that when it would open, it would be a toll road, an industrial toll road, just like the one that is already operating successfully to get to the Red Dog mine.
The Federal Bureau of Land Management, National Park Service, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers now must reissue permits to construct the road. Cooper Freeman, the Alaska director at the Center for Biological Diversity, sent a statement reading, quote, "It's glaringly obvious that Trump doesn't care about Alaskans or our wild places. This private mining road would threaten millions of wild acres in the Arctic." He went on to say, ramming this project through is a slap in the face to everyone who's spoken out about its harms. Meantime, the ongoing government shutdown has impacted many industries, including aviation. As Joe Allgood reports, funding for a widely used program may end after an announcement from the Department of Transportation.
Funding for the essential air service, a lifeline for many Alaskan communities, may dry up as a result of the federal government shutdown.
The number one user of this airspace is Alaska. Again, you don't have roads in Alaska. They travel by air, and a lot of these are small communities. Alaska will be impacted, but every state across the country will be impacted by the inability to provide the subsidies to airlines to service these communities. Long-standing program, bipartisan support in the House and the Senate. It's an important program, but we don't have the money for that moving forward.
65 communities in Alaska are serviced by flights funded by the Essential Air Service, or EAS. But EAS could END as soon as Sunday, affecting those in the industry as well as residents across rural Alaska who could be left stranded.
Yeah, it could really impact our community in a lot of devastating ways.
Cordova resident Caitlin McKinstry often flies to Anchorage on an EAS-funded flight for everything from groceries to doctor's appointments.
It's just so important for healthcare, for cost of living here, and for our industries and economies.
Now, an end to the Essential Air Service program does not necessarily mean that the routes that it supported will also end. It just makes it harder for air carriers to support them financially. Joe Allgood, Alaska's news source.
Coming up, Alaskans are losing tens of thousands of dollars to scammers. The BBB says Alaskans are being targeted in hyper-aggressive fake debt collection calls. We'll take a look at common tactics to watch out for and how to protect yourself right after this.
And with strong storms in the west, dangerous flooding levels take over the coastline. I'll tell you more and what you can expect, but first, take a look at your daylight hours. It kind of tells you something about the size of this storm, but these high winds and flooding, like I mentioned, those are going to continue pretty much all week long, but these mild temperatures are continuing inland. So we're not really expecting warmer or cooler temperatures. They're pretty much just staying mild, pretty normal for this time of year. You can see them right now. Temperatures along the western coast, which is the coast that we're really trying to pay attention to right now, they're staying pretty normal, nothing out of the ordinary, but you can already see that rain starting to move on into the western coast. And we're really trying to focus on this moving in through this week. Now, the whole reason why we're seeing this storm, you can see the size of this storm right over here. And you can also see that there's high pressure down south. And as these two systems work together, they're really pumping in the moisture throughout the western coastline. And as it does this just builds in the wind speeds and increases that rainfall amount. So that's why this storm is so strong, and that's why it's bringing in flooding along the coastline. And this is also bringing in lots of erosion potential. And it's really just not a great situation for the western coastline, but it's even bringing in that moisture into the interior. But southeast is actually starting to dry out. You can kind of see right there, we have this ridge starting to build towards the southeast, and south central is also part of this high pressure system that we're paying attention to. So these two pressure systems are really working together here, and you can see right here, this low pressure system and the high pressure system, as they work together, there's that band of moisture that it's starting to form. And as it forms, you see it's just basically a river. It's forming that atmospheric river, pushing into Bethel and Nome for those more serious cases of flooding and those more serious cases of erosion. But it's also pushing in that moisture into the interior, bringing in some snowfall into the Brooks Range. But you can also see just all of these colors that are popping up from this storm. It's bringing in that winter weather advisory to the Brooks Range, bringing in storm warnings, high wind warnings, and of course, here's that coastal flooding warning that we're really trying to pay attention to right now. So these storm impacts include flooding, those high winds, that heavy rain, as well as snowfall starting to move on in. And this is really affecting travelers as well. I mean, the Dalton Highway is already starting to close from this, but the flooding potential is already pretty drastic. It's really starting to destroy some homes and just any infrastructure right now. It's also bringing in a lot of shoreline erosion, and that's really the biggest threat that we're paying attention to right now. So this coastal flooding, you can just see the heights of all of this water. From 6 to 9 feet in Kotzebue, we're looking at 6 to 10 in Unalakleet. So you can already just see how dangerous this is and how impactful this really is. So I just want you to pay attention to this. If you are on the western coast, you can just see these wave heights increasing. So that's pretty heavy. You can see that storm right there pushing on through, and that's why we're seeing so much of these water levels starting to rise. So here's your expected rainfall: over an inch in Nome by this afternoon, and then about half an inch in Bethel. But then that's going to push into Wednesday. So we're expecting even more rain to start to push in by tomorrow. And as I mentioned earlier, this is going to span from today into Friday.
The Better Business Bureau says Alaskans lost tens of thousands to debt collection scammers in the past year, and they warn the tactics are getting more aggressive. Our investigative reporter Johnson Kuhn shares the signs every Alaskan should know.
That threatening call about unpaid debt might be designed to steal more than your money.
There definitely are commonalities when it comes to fraudsters reaching out.
Better Business Bureau's Cameron Nakashima says scammers are getting bolder impersonating everything from student loan departments to collection agencies, even claiming you owe money on toll roads that don't exist in Alaska.
They vary in tactics.
The BBB's Nakashima says scammers use two main tactics: hyper-aggressive threats of jail time and wage garnishment to make you panic and pay fast, or the opposite, acting like your friend to lower your defenses. In the past 12 months, the BBB received 17 reports from Alaskans who fell for debt collection scams, losing a combined $31,000. But Nakashima says money is not the main target.
Is that a lot of these scammers, they're looking to get your personal private information and maybe some banking details. So a lot of this actually has more to do with identity theft than it actually has to do with getting money from you.
Social security numbers, addresses, banking details, information that can be used to impersonate you long after the phone call ends. To protect yourself, he says, ask whoever is calling to validate the debt notice.
If they are a debt collector, they legally have to provide that. That is something that they will have. And if they're not able to provide that to you, that's a huge red flag that these guys aren't legit.
Nakashima also recommends checking your credit report regularly to know what debt you actually have, and being aware of your personal information you've shared on social media that scammers could use against you. The bottom line: hang up and verify independently.
And when we look at the success rate, what we find when we read through a lot of these reports is that people did give up some of their credentials. They gave up social security number, maybe address, other identifying features that a scammer wouldn't just be able to pick up by going over your social media profile. Right?
Legitimate debt collectors won't pressure you to pay immediately over the phone, and they'll give you time to verify your debt. Johnson Kuhn, Alaska's news source.
If you've been contacted by a suspected scammer, you can report it to the BBB's scam tracker. That link is on our website and mobile app. Senator Dan Sullivan is one of 9 congressional Republicans whose phone records were reviewed by the FBI in 2023 during an investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 election. The grand jury approved review included call dates and times from the week of January 6th, but not the content of any calls. Other lawmakers named include Senators Lindsey Graham, Josh Hawley, Tommy Tuberville, and Marsha Blackburn. Senator Chuck Grassley released the document. Senate Leader John Thune urged a deeper investigation into what he says was the Biden-era FBI spying on Republican senators as a, quote, weaponization of government.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically and stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.